I swear I was asked to review this at just the right time, since before now I've had a really hard time finding this show. After Megas XLR was cancelled, it just kind of vanished. Reruns didn't air very long, it never came out on DVD, and as far as I know, it never appeared on any official streaming service online. And believe me, it's one of the first things I looked for on Netflix. Though I have heard the theme song used in different places. For those who haven't seen it, here's a quick summary of how the show began. In the far future, aliens led by Clancy Brown are about to invade Earth. In the ensuing battle, a portal opens up that brings the aliens, a prototype battle robot called Megas, and a soldier named Kiva back in time to modern-day New Jersey. Here we meet our other main characters, Coop and his best friend Jamie. Coop ends up finding Megas first and fixes it up to his own liking, painting flames on it, replacing the head with a muscle car, and hooking up a PlayStation 2 controller for good measure. What follows is a celebration and parody of geek culture, with constant references to sci-fi, anime, and video games. In fact, two of the main characters are played by the English voice actors who played Spike Spiegel and Faye Valentine on Cowboy Bebop. Yeah, I love this show. Anyway, as the episode begins, we're introduced to the S-Force, a mashup of the Gatchaman team, Voltron, Power Rangers, and any cartoon from the 70s or 80s that had a weird animal sidekick. They're informed of a threat to Earth that requires immediate attention. And it turns out to be Megas. We then cut to Coop winning a hot dog eating contest right before the S-Force arrives, commanding him to surrender. Despite Coop and his friends repeatedly telling them that it's a misunderstanding, things quickly escalate, with the S-Force bringing out their own giant robots called Zorps, and Coop beating the crap out of them with Megas, accidentally taking out half the city in the process. Unfortunately, all the collateral damage really doesn't help his image, and it gets even worse when the S-Force's arch-nemesis Ender shows up, asking Coop to help him take over the universe. But Coop's had enough of being called a bad guy, and he vows to kick the crap out of this guy just like he did with the S-Force. Unfortunately, Ender turns out to be more than Coop can handle on his own, and so he turns to the S-Force, powering up Megas by... Anyway, he finally defeats Ender with the S-Force's ultimate weapon, a black hole that's now threatening to swallow the entire planet. And on the offhand chance that absolutely no one was wondering, here's where the eating contest actually becomes important to the story. Coop says that if you don't pace yourself, you won't last very long. And with that, he fires off another black hole next to the first one, and they end up canceling each other out, basically by eating each other. In the end, Coop and the S-Force finally become friends, and he sends them back to their base acting more like him. And that's how the universe was doomed. As this series goes, I give Bad Guy a 6 out of 10. The timing of the jokes could be a little tighter, and the running theme of misunderstandings being caused because the characters can't communicate properly gets dragged out way too long. Also, while it's totally legitimate to point out how corny and silly the S-Force team is, the way Coop and Jamie constantly make fun of them doesn't really seem clever, but instead comes off as a cheap shot. But otherwise, this episode has a lot of brilliant ideas, like pointing out how Voltron basically looks like he's wearing all the other robots, or how, from a slightly different perspective, the Power Rangers could look like the bad guys, since they always end up destroying half the city they're trying to protect. Now, I've been accused of nitpicking in some of my reviews, but like I said, I love Megas XLR, and honestly, nitpicking is the only way to give each episode a different score. If the rating seems a little low, it's only because of how high the bar is set by other episodes. And you know, oddly enough, this seems like the kind of thing Michael Bay would make if he actually had any love for the source material that's being satirized. Also, if he knew what the word satire meant. Megas began painting flames on robots back in 2004, a full 3 years before the first live-action Transformers movie. But while Bayformers told us we were supposed to take Optimus Prime seriously like this, Megas XLR understood that that was part of the joke. We're supposed to laugh at Coop just as often as we're supposed to root for him. And in its own way, that's what makes all the dude bro macho stuff genuinely awesome here. Because it has a sense of humor about itself, and it it knows how to have a sense of humor about itself. Also, because some elements here are supposed to be a parody of Transformers and not part of the Transformers franchise itself. To all the Michael Bay Transformers fans out there who keep asking, well, what were you expecting from a Michael Bay movie about robots fighting? Well, ideally something like this, which, seriously, if you watch the whole thing, it ends up being the best Transformers series ever made. But keeping Michael Bay in mind, who, when he wasn't lying about telling a dramatic human story, tried to defend himself by saying, well, hey, I just make fun movies for teenagers. With all that in mind, what else would I want to see? This!